the notion that kids, the worst aspect of them dying, especially to their parents, is not the fact that they're dying. This is going to sound awful, what I'm going to say to you, but I observed it over and over again, that most parents were devastated by the fact that by virtue of their child dying, the child would not get to live a full life. That was the principal grievance they brought to the court of last resort, you know. And it was my sort of sorrowful responsibility to challenge that very deeply. What do you mean a 7-year-old hasn't had a full life? Because they haven't reached the age of majority that you imagine constitutes a full life? Ask anybody at the age of majority, have you had a full life? So the notion of full life, the way we cling to it, is informed by this prejudicial spell that we're in called potential. Right? That's what you're supposed to live up to. That's what you're supposed to reach and strive towards. And everybody, at least senior to you, when you're a teenager in particular, is very clear that you're not living up to your potential. You're the only one who's confused about it. But they're all very certain about it. And you say, well, where's this potential I'm supposed to live up to? Well, it's in the future. Well, when am I supposed to get there? And the answer, of course, is you never get to the future. If you get there, it's called the present. The future never happens. So the notion that you're supposed to live up to this carrot on the end of a stick called all you could be is tyranny. You know, it's not encouragement. It's the end of encouragement. It's the kind of gutting of encouragement, yeah?
And so, that causes anxiety around our death, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I think the large story that I was witness to is that North Americans, which is the only place I can speak about with any familiarity, that North Americans are addicted to a terminal degree to their competence and their certainties and their swagger and their autonomy and mastery. These things are recipes for dying a miserable, grinding death, guaranteed, virtually. But the addiction is very strong. And the reward system is, starts when you're about this tall. To get the right answer as quickly as possible in school, for example. Not to tolerate the learning, which is like the halfway house towards knowing. Learning, in fact, is an adult proposition. And knowing it's like an entry-level thing. Certainty and all of that. Think of the word ambivalence. You were trained away from it as a kid, as was I. And it was identified as you being profoundly at sea, right? And not to be trusted if you engaged in ambivalence. Certainly not to be taken seriously or relied upon. But the actual word means what? Ambi. It means several contending somethings. And valence is a word we get from chemistry and physics. And it means the way by which a certain thing can be recognized as itself. It's kind of tracks, if you will. It's footprints. And you put the word back together, it doesn't mean confusion at all. The ability to be ambivalent means to nurse a number of contending possibilities, more or less at the same time, without the utterly arbitrary, often radically unnecessarily premature lapse into certainty by eliminating all of the possibilities, all of the contentions, but one,
Didn't Einstein once say a measure of man's intelligence was how many conflicting ideas he could hold in his head?
If he did, he was onto something.
Right, at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?